What's up, everybody? This is your girl, Saina Win, and I'm back again. I may be your friend, I may be your foe, I don't know. But all I know is that I am so happy to be back. I know I said I was going to do just some solo dolo episodes for a minute, but Wakanda forever changed that. You all know. If you haven't seen it, don't listen to this podcast because we're going to go full spoiler. Okay, so full spoiler alert. Three, two, one. Shuri is the new Black Panther. Okay, I'm just gonna put it there.
Wait, what?
Oh no, John, no. But today you won't just be hearing my voice. You're gonna hear some returning cousins of mine, new cousins. We have Coach Yams,
Hey, hey.
and we also have John. I know we talked to John earlier this year. He is a TikTok sensation, one of my favorite transition people. So I just want you, so y'all starting with Yams, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself back to the people, and then John, and then we're going to jump right into it because I got a lot to say.
Yes. So my name is Yamana. I am the owner of Healing is Work Coaching, and I help women to make more money landing leadership roles. So if that's something you're into, holla at your girl. Chatwithyams.com. Yams with a Z, though. Coach Yams. Google me. I'm out there. I'm everywhere. That's
Right.
it.
Make it fancy.
Yes.
Okay. John?
Hey everyone, I'm John. I'm based in the Pacific Northwest. I make a lot of different type of content, but I do focus a lot on transitions. I do tutorials as well. You could follow me at visiting.earth on TikTok and Peace and Focus on IG.
Yes, and I can attest, everybody. I've done Coach Yams. I've worked with her. She's amazing, very non-judgmental, just amazing person to talk with and to get help from. Same thing goes with John. Very, very nice, very kind, and very good at teaching those tutorials. Have I done them yet? No, because I'm scared. I don't know why, but anyway. So let's talk about it. So, how did we feel about Wakanda Forever, Black Panther? I want to get y'all's takes because I was shook.
Who's going to go first?
I can go first.
Go ahead.
I loved it. Oh my God. It was so freaking
Yes.
amazing. I was enamored by the whole thing. I was just staring like on the edge of my seat like a little kid. I'm just like, like, but then I also had to like bring back that adult aspect and realize all the layers it was trying to feed me. Even though my inner child wanted to enjoy the movie, I also needed to sit there as an adult and kind of like take each spoonful of information that I'm being given because it was a lot. It was very heavy.
Right. Like one of the scenes from the very beginning, when Shuri, again, spoiler alert, if you just haven't gotten out, when the first line where we hear Shuri talk about, please release my brother from this illness, I was just like, oh, so we're going here straight out. So yes. What about you, Yams?
Y'all, this movie took me through the emotional ringer because there was so much message being conveyed. There's different cultures, like, you're exploring this at the same time and it's coming together in the way that it needs to. And then there's like the underlying, like, because the Black Panther died, grief on screen, but we real life are grieving still. I mean, I every time I see Chadwick, I cry.
Yeah.
And I could feel this through this movie, like on screen grief, but like for real. And I think that was the way that they went about it was really beautiful and a great tribute to him and the work that he put towards the previous movie.
Agreed. I agree because the grief aspect, it was just a beautiful love letter,
Yes.
goodbye letter,
Yes.
meditation on grief and how it does just because with Shuri, because Shuri and Queen Ramonda, you saw two types of grief patterns.
Shuri was going dark.
Yeah. And of course, mom, she's lost her husband before, so she's been through it.
Yeah.
She knew what to go through, and she was used to her old patterns of reconciling with grief. But Shuri's like, I'm all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
One minute I am either going to save the world, I'm going to burn it.
It all down with everybody in it.
Yeah. Exactly. So one of the things that I kind of want to talk about, well, I'm gonna give my take too. I love the movie as well. I thought I was like you, John. I was sitting on the edge of my seat. And then I was like, I didn't cry because I was like, honestly, I was a little cried out from previous things, but I was still emotional because when I saw Chadwick's face on that billboard, or not the wall, I was just like, oh my God, like he was really larger than life.
Yes.
And just thinking about all his movies and the fact that he literally did the first movie sick. And it makes me think back on his previous his interviews, especially the one where he talked about that young kid who was dying of cancer. Mm-hmm. And when he found out that he passed away, mm-hmm. I felt like looking at that through a different lens, he probably saw himself in that moment. Yep. But he was keeping it to himself. But how did y'all feel about the fact that they talked about him, like how they kind of parallel Chadwick's death with T'Challa's death? Because some people on TikTok and Facebook, Instagram were a little upset about that, but I felt a different way. But I want to know what y'all felt about it.
I think that it was. I thought it was beautiful, honestly. Yeah. I didn't know how they were going to handle it, because I didn't want it to be something cheesy or stupid.
Right.
That cheapened the movie and what this movie means to us. Because I mean, beyond, Chadwick and things, this is representation like we've never had before.
Right.
And so this means so much to so many people that look like the people on the screen. Mm-hmm. And so I think that paralleling it was a beautiful tribute to him. Yeah. And I am not at all upset about it.
Me neither.
Same. Yeah. They keep it very realistic because in reality, heroes do die. People out here in the real world that risk their lives every day, there is a chance that something bad could happen. So a superhero, they're not forever. So it's very realistic and very powerful. So I liked how they did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It kept me grounded in the grief, I guess, or just in the realism, because it's something that we all deal with. Like there's grief in losing loved ones, grief in you losing relationships and friendships. And I felt like by them being like honest and kind of keeping it how he kept it a secret, it allowed us to kind of, I don't know, this is kind of a stretch, but I felt like it's kind of like it's the start of the anger part in grieving, that those 12 stages of grief, because I'm like, we were all angry that he hid it. Yeah. But we all understood why he hid it.
Yeah.
And same thing with Shuri, Queen Ramonda. She was probably furious that he hid that from her. And so I think that's probably one of the starts, the kind of like expressing one of the feelings of grief through that realization. So let's talk about like the themes. Like there was a lot of things. One of my favorite things that I think this movie talks about is just, of course, the representation. Just chef's kiss.
Yes. Yes. I mean, and representation in several ways.
Mm-hmm.
Because
go ahead.
I was gonna say we got Black and brown folks on the screen, and there is same-sex love.
Yeah. Now, some people was kind of frustrated. I saw that it wasn't as blatant. Does anybody have any feelings about that? Because I was not really surprised because it wasn't about them as a story.
Right.
But I was like, was it not enough, or was it just enough? Well, how do we feel about that? Between, I forgot her name, Aneka and, oh man, I forgot to get her name.
Yeah, the new general and the one that teamed up with the old
Michelle
yes,
Cole.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it was done pretty. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go John.
I was saying I think it was done pretty beautifully. I think it was just if you put too much attention to it, you make it seem unnatural. If it's casually embedded in it, it's a normal thing.
Yeah.
it's everywhere. There's many relationships like that, and it doesn't have to be a big deal. It just exists.
I agree. Like I feel like with people you can't please everyone. But I feel like it should have been just like everybody knows it's not a big deal, because it's not a big deal. It shouldn't be considered, oh God, they're kissing. Okay, and they love each other. Keep it on moving. But I feel like that also may have something to do just with people's misconceptions or conceptions on what African culture and how they feel about same-sex relationships, or just people's general unnecessary uncomfortableness with it. So, but I'm glad that they put it in there, and I'm looking forward to, because I did some research, because I know, John, you were worried because you like, I don't know comic books. I was like, honey, I don't know either. But I was looking at some YouTube videos, and apparently this is setting up for feature TV shows called The Night Angels, I think. And Michelle Cole is actually one of the Night Angels, and her wife is one of the Night Angels as well. So be on the lookout. I think we're going to get more introductions to those characters. So I'm excited about that.
I am thrilled about that.
Like, it's just, the representation is really what I really, really love, because what I feel like these movies are doing are just breaking white supremacy down.
Yeah.
I said it, white supremacy, we got to get rid of it. It's not doing nobody's good.
It ain't serving nobody.
It ain't serving nobody. It's not even serving
the whites.
Most white people.
It serves them to an extent, but you know, at what cost?
Exactly. And I'm loving that Ryan Coogler had the conversations between the Black and brown community. But I know some people were talking about how they didn't like the infighting. I know I talked with my cousin. I seen it on TikTok. But how do we feel about the infighting between the two cultures?
Who want to go? You want to go, John? You want me to go?
You go ahead.
Okay. You know, it always kind of seems like it comes down to the white people being the reason this is happening. Right? And so that was frustrating, because you can see, because we know and we love Wakanda already, because we've had the first movie. And then we see Shuri kidnapped / she bartered, like she was cool with going, but her mama wouldn't have known that. I get all that.
Right.
But we get to go down, and I told my friend when we were there watching it, I said she was the best person to have been the person that was taken to experience this. She needed to see this and to see their culture and to see how they connect as community and things. Like, it was beautiful to see that that their culture under the sea and things. And so it was said that it came down to us fighting in between, but you know what? It's because the white man's greed.
Right.
So here we are.
What about you, John?
Yeah, I mean, sorry, can you repeat the question real quick?
Oh,
I was just talking about, how do we feel about the infighting between the Black and brown cultures on movie?
Yeah, I mean, it really was. At first, it was very enjoyable to watch, like all the graphics and all that stuff, and just like how real the fight looked. And just going back to that video you had shared with that one woman that wasn't very happy with the movie. I just really thought that the movie touched on, because it also tries to dismantle the patriarchy.
Right.
Just touched on the power of Black women, and
oh my gosh,
and how like grief can empower you, but it also you have to go through the whole process of grief all the way to accept it, because it can also consume you.
Right. And
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you out, did I?
No, you're good.
Okay. Well, I completely agree, because the one thing I was mad that they didn't mention, because they didn't do it in the first movie, and they kind of did, but in this one they still didn't go to the root of the issue. They didn't go to the root, which what you talked about, Yams, is the white supremacy. How it really all started with the white man, or the European countries. They stole and I just feel like, I'm like, why didn't y'all just tell Namor that it was stolen from Riri? it was stolen from her. Like it wasn't her fault. It wasn't her intention
right.
to do it. And somebody brought up a really good point that they said that the because in the movie Riri's was challenged by her professor to create a vibranium finder, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, bet I can do that in her sleep. But then he stole it from her. This one lady said the professor was probably commissioned to build the machine and knew that she can do it and stole it from her and sold it to the people and still blamed her for her as the main scientist.
Yeah.
Because I was like, why aren't we talking about how the cultures were manipulated by the Europeans?
Yeah.
I'm like, we should be taking it up. Honestly, I wish it would have ended was just Namor and Shuri would have walked up in the new UN and be like, y'all need to leave us alone. But I get where Ryan Coogler was going. He had to make the infighting. It was used in context with the hour past with the contention that has been in the Black and brown community, but then also showing that we need to work together despite our differences, which weren't really big differences. It was just like one is on land and one is on sea.
Yep.
So, man, okay. So let's talk about. I want to go into the breakdown of characters because you talked about something, John, was the breakdown of the patriarchy, and I don't think Yams, you got a chance to look at that video that he's referencing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a video of this woman on TikTok, and she was like, I hated that movie. Are you gonna tell me that a 100-pound Black girl can throw a man over her shoulder? And also, why were the men so effeminate? And there was like, it was like, what's it called, that movie, A Woman King on 1,000.
Yeah,
It was basically very much like white supremacy with the patriarchy defining your worldview. And so I want to go back. I want to start breaking down these characters, starting with Shuri, just because, again, she's the Black Panther, y'all. How do we feel about that? Were we surprised? Were we excited? What are we hoping to see from Black Panther? And how did we feel about her in general as a character?
Well, I know for me, I liked her in part one, the way she was, because she had that kind of playful humor bit about her, but she's still a genius.
Right.
And she had that relationship with her brother, and it was just so nice to see that on the screen. And then after losing her brother, she just became the kind of like the whole symbolism and stages of grief, right? And so it's kind of it almost, her being the representation of grief almost makes you uncomfortable to like her, because no one likes to experience grief, right? It's not a pleasant thing to experience. So there was kind of like an uneasiness to watch her go through it, because I've experienced grief. So it was hard to like her, but I also try to remember, that who she is and why she's chosen to be that, that symbolism. I liked how what's his name, Lord M'Baku.
M'Baku.
M'Baku. When he says that this line, I had to look it up because I wanted to quote it correctly. But when he says to Shuri, "The world has taken too much from you for you to still be considered a child," that is so bad, because it's so true, and we have to remember that grief and like trauma ages the soul, ages the heart, and so some kids are older than they look, like, and they've experienced way too much. So it was something. I liked the character. I like what she represented.
Yeah, and I like what you said there, how she did represent the grief stages. Like, she embodied those, definitely.
Yeah.
What about you?
I agree. She played the hell out that role. We got to see her in such a dynamic way because, like you said, John, we go from playful, lighthearted, and that kind of thing to this very opposite version of like dark and spiraling and not feeling her feelings, which I'm a life coach, so I'm going to tell you, you got to feel your feelings, honey. You got to. And to see her play such different versions of herself, I thought was beautiful. I loved it. And also I agree with you that people are uncomfortable seeing people go through their feelings or not go through their feelings and be uncomfortable. Because everybody can't tolerate your emotions because they don't have the capacity to even tolerate their own. And so, yeah, I just love that in all that she experienced, in the end, she got a nephew.
Me too. Now,
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Super fucking spoiler alert.
Right. Right, and we're gonna talk about that. I'm adding that to the list because I forgot about baby T'Challa. We gotta talk about him and what the implications of baby T'Challa is on the future, and just in general the context of him. But I feel like with Shuri, especially, I like that she's gonna be Black Panther. I think everybody kind of spoiled it once we saw like the scene where obviously a woman was jumping from the in the trailer. I was like, oh, that's definitely Shuri, because she's so skinny and so slight, but she is a fierce woman. But I like that we had to see her grow to that acceptance of
and
her
to the heart-shaped herb.
Exactly. She figured it out. I feel like she needed those moments because, like, I know some people may be like, man, we had to wait a long time for her to become the Black Panther. I was like, yeah, because we had to go through these stages, one, to mourn Chad, but she had to go through it in order to see that she was needed at the time. But the one thing I liked that they didn't go straight into is her acceptance, where she still was like, burn the world. Like, I'm going to kill Namor for what he did. We're going to talk about that when we go to Queen Ramonda's side, but what he did. But then seeing her come to the realizations that eventually, if we keep taking eye for an eye, everybody will be blind. And I love that she was able, even though I don't know if I'll be able to do it, I probably would have punched him one more time, but what he did. But
I might have left a cut on his face, if I'm being honest.
Right. I'm like, let me
just remember me.
Right, remember me. But she did take one of his wings, so I think he's gonna remember that.
Oh, yes, yes, she did. And baby, he hollered.
He hollered, honey. I think he hollered louder when that wing got ripped off versus when he got burnt in the back.
Oh, you right. You right.
Oh my God. But I enjoyed her. I'm looking forward. I hope we still get to see her at least in a couple of movies as Black Panther in Phase 5 of the MCU. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope they keep working with her. So let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk about the introduction of Riri Williams. She is going to be Ironheart, which is my research. She is not necessarily a replacement of Tony Stark, but she basically learned from Tony Stark. In the comic book, she uses him as her AI, or her Jarvis. So she is.
That's dope.
Yeah, she is super, super intelligent. Her and Shuri are on the same level, if not as smart or smarter than Tony Stark. So how did we feel about her introduction? I thought she was adorable, but I want to know how y'all feel.
I thought she was adorably rough around the edges. And I love that, if we're going to get another version of Iron Man, for it to be a Black woman makes my heart happy. So plus, she has confidence. She's not taking any shit, and she's not afraid to get her hands dirty. And I love her character.
I agree.
Yeah, same. I like I agree with what you guys are saying, and I just liked that how even though she like wasn't obviously born in Wakanda, they were willing to protect her and like welcomed her like right away, and that we're not willing to give her up to Namor. So I really like that aspect too. So
yeah. Now, some of the things I've heard a couple people say, like the rough around the edges. Some people thought that her acting was a little bit too forced, and I'm like, honey, if you just got not kid, well, you did get kidnapped, but if you just meet like Wakandans, and you gonna be a little extra too. I'm sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, we got to remember that she's a college student,
Right, she's
and
19.
she's out here on her hustle, trying to get through whatever she's got to get through so she can get to her next, while she's obviously fending for herself, because we find out that the car comes from when she worked on her father before he passed.
Right.
And so
right.
like she's very much a survivor, and she's doing things, it seems, on her own. And so she's rough around the edges because that's who she's had to be.
Exactly. And I feel like that what's the word I'm looking for, is her portrayal is definitely, I'm kind of lost what I was going to say, but her portrayal was just real. She was a 19-year-old genius and still trying to be herself, which I like that she wasn't whitewashed. She wasn't, she was still maintaining who she was fundamentally.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I think what happens, I know when I was going to school, I maybe felt the need to assimilate just a little bit more. But now with the Gen Zers, they're making sure that they're going to be accepted for who they are regardless.
Baby, they are showing up exactly as them.
Yes, and I think that's beautiful, and I think that's maybe another underlying context that we see with Riri. She didn't try to conform. If anything, she was making them come to her because she had the keys. She had the smarts. She was running circles around the white men, literally the white men in her class and her peers and her teachers. And so I love that she did it as herself authentically. And I'm just, again, I can't wait to see her series. I think it's going to be excellent.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see that series too.
Yeah. Now, okay, I don't really have that much to say on Riri. I can't wait to talk about Namor. We ready? Because Namor had my heart.
Yes, he did.
Tenoch can have my heart, can have anything he wants, and so can Namor. Again, Ryan Coogler's ability to make the villains, to me, not really villains. Like, I still agree that Killmonger was right in his thinking, wrong in his execution. So how did we feel about Namor? Let's talk him out, because he's scrumptious.
I think he's absolutely scrumptious. At some point, though, I was like, he's just gonna keep on walking out the ocean in his green panties.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not complaining.
Right. But yeah, he was good looking. He was not wrong in wanting to protect his culture, because he's, from a child, we got a flashback to seeing his first encounter with people on land, honey. I get why he was so protective. His mission made sense to me. Now, showing up in Wakanda and being like, y'all gonna help me, and you ain't got no say so. Maybe we could have been a little more diplomatic.
Right. What about you, John?
I obviously love the character, and it kind of inspired me. It might take a while for me to get all the pieces together, but I want to do my own research on my ancestry and see if I can create my own character. The way he represents kind of a combination of like the Mayan Empire and everything, like all those aspects of Mesoamerican cultures infused into one character. I kind of want to look into my Incan culture now and see what I can come up with. But yeah, so I really liked that character, and I'm just like, there was an article I read about a son and a mom who actually speaks that native language that he was speaking in the movie. I think one of those languages they were speaking is a very lost language or a very rare language, and this particular mother was like so excited to have seen her like this specific culture represented on the big screen like that, and she was like translating it for her son, even though the subtitles were there, and she was just like felt just, and I just love that feeling that character just has brought so much representation, especially for the Latinx community. So I love
Right. Right. Okay. So your background, did you say you have Incan background?
Yeah, from Peru.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, I can't wait to see you explore that and maybe put that in your and how you start representing yourself, because the one thing I love about just these movies is just people are finally embracing the indigenous, embracing the African, embracing these cultures that we once were told were not what we should look up to, and we should see America or Western cultures as the ceiling that we should be trying to climb to. But no, there's nothing wrong with how people can present and represent themselves and still be seen. And just seeing Tanoch talk about how he was excited to be a brown man, like a because I know there's a lot of talk about him. I think in Mexico, there's people that are talking about how because he's dark skinned, he doesn't deserve this role, and I'm just like, wow, like hearing the colorism in Mexico,
Everywhere.
how it's still very similar to the colorism here. It's just I'm glad that we're breaking down those barriers, because I love watching videos where he's just like getting emotional. There's a video where he sees a mural of himself as Namor, and he like he starts crying, and I'm just like, that feeling everyone should be able to feel seen like that. And I'm so glad that the Latinx community has their big star, and he's brown, and I'm just so excited for him.
Brown. I love that. Yes.
Yes, yes. and
Folks.
and I must say, okay, I did a TikTok about this. I think that his body looks great, but his body wasn't like an impossible. It wasn't an impossible standard. You know what I'm saying? It was nice. He had a little bit of a love handle on that right side. I was like, okay.
It was a real nice, athletic enough body.
Right. It was a very nice body. He did great.
Yeah, I liked that body. It was nice. I thought it was realistic. It was like
yes.
the other kind of superheroes are just so overdone and like so overly muscular and like so unrealistic. And obviously they have to kind of match the comic books, but Namor, it was definitely a very I don't know, I just thought it was more real.
Yeah. And I enjoyed that. One of the things that I wish they talked about again is just, but I think maybe the reason why we didn't get the, like a more diplomatic Namor is because we don't know how much he knows really about the top world. He could have just been like chilling in his world, and then they started coming for the vibranium, and he's like, oh, what happened? So I wish they
always doing the very best that they can.
Right. So I just wish they kind of would, like, he's like, I know what y'all do. Like y'all are crazy. But I wish he was just a little bit more diplomatic too. But he was so fine. And his acting, his the ability for him to kind of have some softness as well as the fierceness was so cool to me. Like
sexy.
And sexy. And I like that he was like, when he brought Shuri to his world, and just the reverence and the love that he had for his people, and what he had for, and the people had for him. Yeah. I thought it was amazing. And I kind of want to get into the breakdown of like the patriarchy, how they, even though he was tough, he still had kindness in a way. And some people they thought that his show of masculinity wasn't masculine enough. And I'm just like, y'all need to stop. How do we feel about like the aspect of patriarchy being broken down in different ways or shown in different ways? If that makes sense.
I liked the way how you mentioned the kind of softness that he had, because when we have to remember what kind of character he represents, because even I think it was M'Baku was saying that they call him a god, right? A serpent.
Right.
So why does a god need to fit a specific type of gender role or standard? It's a spectrum, right? It's just so powerful. He has no need for any fear because he's never encountered anything that can stop him. So Black Panther rips his wing and gives him a run for his money. So he can just be a being that acts in any way, in any fashion, because that's what he is. He's a being, a deity. Like, So I thought that was perfect that they had that softness and roughness, all in one character, embodied in one character.
Yeah,
I agree, and I think that's what made him not such a villain.
right.
Is that he was personable, and he was reasonable and fair for what he knew he needed. He set boundaries. Damn it.
He sure did. He set some strong boundaries.
He set boundaries. Now they may feel aggressive because we're new to these, but these are still boundaries that he had to feel safe and to make sure his people was good. I get it.
Yeah, I think one of the I loved. So there's again the people, the lovers to friends thing, how they were like, "Ooh, we gonna get Shuri and Namor," and then when he takes since we're gonna hit up Queen Ramonda out, spoiler alert, Queen Ramonda's gone, and I did not like that. But how did we want a lovers to friends thing? I just want to know.
No,
me neither. I didn't get that vibe, honestly.
No, I did not either.
I just I thought it was more just
they respected each other.
A respect, like because he respected Wakanda. Like he was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing."
He's like, "The air is fresh. This is wonderful." But let's get down to business. Blow this shell when you got what I need.
Do the cuckoo call because we got things to discuss. But yeah, I didn't get the lovers to friends, and I don't want it. Don't think it's necessary. I don't think all characters have to have like a love interest, or they can have a love or a respect for each other. And he was showing, he was trying to do an olive branch and show Shuri what he was fighting for, so she could understand that they're both fighting for the same thing. And so I was like, nah, I don't need a lovers or friends. I can maybe a friends, like just friends would be great.
They friends.
Enemies to friends, enemies to lovers. That's what it was. So I want to go ahead and to me, that was the biggest shock of the movie for me, besides Baby T'Challa, was when they decided when Queen Ramonda died.
See that coming?
You didn't see it coming, or did you?
No, I didn't.
I'm like, why do we need the more character development? She already lost her brother. So okay, John, what did you feel about it? Were you shocked?
I was shocked in that I didn't expect her to die. Spoiler alert. Because I mean, she was the main scene, especially in the beginning too. Like, and she represents motherhood and represents like duty and holding the family together.
Yes.
You know, and so it's like, why would you strip that away? So I was very shocked, and I don't know necessarily if it was necessary, but I guess in order for the storyline to continue, I guess more loss creates that fire that creates that last ending few scenes.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I didn't necessarily like that she died, but
me neither. I was too triggered. I was like, no. But one thing I want to just talk about her performance, Angela Bassett's performance in general. She walked in, and I'm like, the queen is here. It was just amazing. Angela Bassett's presence.
Oh my gosh.
On screen is like, can we just get like 20 minutes of her just being her, regal, just in her outfits?
I'm better win something. That's all.
Just something. I need a whole featurette.
Better win everything.
Right. I would love what they should do is a prequel, because she was actually in the comic books. I believe she was Dora Milaje as well. And she was a Dora Milaje before she married the king. So I know that she's older, but it don't matter. Like, I would love to see her just do her thug thizzle, because she's on 911 kicking ass.
Yeah.
She should do it now.
Yes, she is.
Yes.
I love Angela Bassett.
Me too.
She's been with me since childhood. And to have she just gets greater with age, and experience. A phenomenal actor.
Just amazing.
And I'm convinced every time she does anything of whatever she's doing.
Right. Like, she is, I know Wakanda's not real, but she's definitely the queen of it.
It's real to me. She the queen in real life to me there. because I
Exactly.
can't be told otherwise. She convinced me.
Yeah. Now, my favorite scene of hers was when we see her. I feel like she finally kind of lets a lot of her anger out at the her situation
Yes.
when Shuri is kidnapped and Okoye loses her and she fires Okoye.
Yeah.
And when that speech, oh, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. That speech when she said, "I lost my entire family," and I was floored.
I thought I was in trouble. I thought I was getting grounded. I was like, "Oh my God, Okoye's yelling at me. What did I do?"
Right. I felt that too, and I love the thing that we got. I felt like we man. I'm sorry. I'm so tongue tied on her performance that she just bodied that whole role, and for her to die after that, I'm just like, no, we need more.
Yeah.
We need more. What do we? How did we feel about?
Her anger.
Yes, that's it. Her anger, just seeing her finally let that go.
It was hard to see her fire the general.
Mm-hmm.
It was. That was painful.
What you say, John?
That was painful. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so hard to watch that. Like I cried because it was like I was the child getting grounded. But like to have seen the general in action out in these streets. I mean, this woman was trying to swim after a whale, for God's sake.
True. And I don't know why I didn't put her on the
see
list.
that it was hard. And also she said all that she said, and she said, "Have I not given enough?" And she still maintained this very strong, put together woman because she only had a tear slide down her cheek. She didn't get weak, and not like weak, but like her body did not soften.
Right.
And she did not crumble because of her emotions overcoming her. She had them emotions in check, so much so that she's angrier. She was angrier, but she did a really good job of not going completely berserk like she should have been allowed to.
My favorite line in that when she was talking to her, because that is a way that they kind of tell us what's going on with Okoye's husband and how she was really mad but some people were like, why she fired her? And then when she told her that you stood by Killmonger, even as my son was dying because of duty, she's like, I'm done. I am done. And she said, you can still see your husband. I can't see mine. I was like, oh,
yeah.
Damn. Whew, that was powerful. Huh?
I said she said what she said.
Right. And she meant it. But okay, so I didn't get a chance. I forgot to put Okoye in there. Dude, I just loved her character in general. Did we have any what do we feel that she represented in the movie for us?
Definitely obligation and duty. Like you were saying before, actually, like how even the queen was saying that, you stood next to so and so. And yeah, she just represents, and she also represents sacrifice because she says I think she says in her spiel to not get like fired, that I've sacrificed this role that she's achieved in her accomplishments, and it's being stripped away over one specific failure, which is it's a grand failure, like losing the next Black Panther. So that was hard for me to watch her, all the hard work that she's poured into this position being stripped away from her.
Yeah. And I feel like that it says something just about how we get caught up on what we think we're supposed to do versus what is the right thing. And because we all know, like, Okoye did not want to follow Killmonger, but she felt that sense of duty. But I feel like there's have to be times where we forget the rule book and do what is right. And I think that's just kind of the consequences of the actions. It's accountability. That's what it is. She's being held accountable.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, which I'm going to go back real quick. That's the one thing I'm mad that we still didn't get to see in a Black Panther, is that the European countries still being held accountable for what they done did.
Mm-hmm. That's for the next movie, friend. That's for.
I hope so. I hope so, because we there's 2 movies where we still haven't held the Americans accountable or the Europeans accountable. We gotta have a conversation. Everybody need to come to the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now even though we're gonna head on to M'Baku because we're running close.
I just want to say real quick about Okoye. So
yes.
I think it also did a very good job of representing what it looks like when you dedicate so much of you to a job, and then that's what you identify with.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can't separate the two, and now you feel worthless because you don't have what you've been called in a title.
Ooh, bars. That's real.
Yeah,
because we get caught up on because I feel like America, because of capitalism, it tells us that our job is what we're going to do and that's who we are. And it hasn't made a lot of time for us to express ourselves creatively and do different things. But we are not just our job. We're not just our role.
No, we are not.
And Okoye was not just a Dora Milaje. She was still a badass woman without that title.
Yep. But she didn't see that in herself.
I like that. Good point. Yeah. All right.
M'Baku, yes.
M'Baku.
With his fine ass. He fine.
Right. He's so fine.
He's in the new Savage Fenty Volume 4.
I saw that. I need to watch that.
I fell asleep on it last night because I was trying to watch it way too late. But
you got to learn your lesson.
You got to learn that lesson. Don't watch these things late.
Right. You got to stop
subconsciously.
Yes. Know your limitations. I think you do. You just was trying. It was the weekend.
I be trying to be young, and then the old shit kicks in.
Ain't nothing wrong. I turn on my heated blanket, and it's
over.
It's a wrap. Now I really want to hit on M'Baku because, again, that video that we referenced earlier, she was talking about there was a feminine man. I was like, where? And why are you getting this? I didn't understand that. So you bald-headed demon.
Oh yeah, that line was funny.
That line
was not in the script.
I can see that not being in the script. You bald-headed demon. That took me out. I'm like, he wrong for that. But how do we feel about his representation? Because some people felt like it was a little comical, but it wasn't about him. It wasn't about him. I thought he did great at showing a dynamic, what masculinity should be, because we get it caught up in being a one-dimensional, but masculinity and like femininity can be so many things if we don't limit it. So let's talk about M'Baku.
Yeah, I love M'Baku. When he starts doing that call out loud, when he don't want to hear you talking about whatever you're talking about no more, it tickles every time. But he's very masculine, but he's still soft enough because he was able to, speak to Shuri and come to her and be like, look, I know you're going through a lot, but let me just drop a little piece of wisdom on you based on what I know. And so I respect him being able to do that. I respect him opening up their home to accommodate the rest of the town for safety while everything was blowing the fuck up. And I mean, he still held it down, and he was still masculine, but he was soft. He was both. And I think he did that very well with the comedy mixed in.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, John?
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like we saw enough of him on the screen. I hope he gets a spinoff.
I'd love a TV
because I want to know more about his reign, where he is, and everything like that. Especially because I think in the first one, when they first bring all the cultures together in their different colorful outfits to see who the next Black Panther will be, I thought that was so powerful. So I would like to go and visit his world, see his journey and everything like that. Because at the end, spoiler alert, that he he's the one that's gonna. I don't know if he's claiming to be the next Black Panther because the way it seems like the fight that has to happen to be officially the Black Panther. Yeah,
that I'm not sure. Yeah,
I couldn't tell if they were saying that he was about to actually for real challenge or if he was just delivering the message that she's busy.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that. Yeah, that scene, but yeah, I think just overall it was just a great character. I want to know more about him.
Yeah,
me too. And go ahead, Ian.
I just said agreed.
Yeah, I think maybe he may be the ruler. Maybe of Wakanda. Maybe he might be the king, while Shuri is the guardian.
Oh, okay, for that, yeah, okay.
So I'm not sure, but I feel like that may be it because I don't know if she really wants to be queen because she is still she's young and I think she's also breaking down the traditional views because I feel like she was the where Queen Ramonda was traditional, she was not. So I think we're going to explore her breaking tradition and maybe not being the queen, but maybe being the protector, which I think that's going to be a good opportunity. And the one thing I loved about the kind of going back to M'Baku, Lord, is that somebody when she was talking about how the girl in the video was like the effeminate nature, I'm like, what are you trying to say masculinity should be? And what I think people who keep getting caught up on masculinity being just somebody who doesn't care, who doesn't listen. I'm like, why do we want to keep holding up that ideal of masculinity? And seeing M'Baku being not just the brawn, he was the brain, he was the heart, and he was teaching Shuri just to be calm because he was like that. Like even he still showed up despite him wanting to be like the big and bad. He still showed up for Wakanda when they needed him. And I think when you talked about breaking patriarchy, John, that is one of the things that we have to do is allow men to be everything, to have emotions, to be kind, to be soft, to be a person that provides support instead of trying to solve the issue. Because he provided a shoulder in a way for Shuri to get to that point where she can be a child, but be a woman and still grieve, and then realize that she still have to be the leader. So I just thought that, and it wasn't about men either. It was just about women being the head and being the people who we need to see more in the forefront, I guess, to me. Man, it was just the movie was just so damn good.
I want to watch it again, so that's on my list.
Me too. I might go see it after this, honestly, because I was going to go have dinner, but I was like, shoot, I'm up. I work nights, so I woke up at like 5 o'clock. So yeah, this is my life. Okay, so just going in, since we're going to wrap this up at the end, how do we feel about baby T'Challa? He's adorable.
He is adorable.
But what do we think he represents, though, in the context of like the grief, because the overall story of grief. So what do we think maybe baby T'Challa means for the process of grieving?
I think, well, is it Nakia, right?
Oh yeah, I forgot Nakia.
Nakia and baby T'Challa together.
Yes.
Time's sake, but also they kind of just go together in the representation of the stages of grief. But definitely, the easiest thing we can kind of like pick up on is just like rebirth, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah.
And rebuilding. So you can see how Nakia, I think she has to leave, but people thought she was kicked out of Wakanda, but she obviously was under the cover of keeping the child's secret.
Right.
So she represents sacrifice, leaving her family, but she also represents rebuilding because you can see when the queen visits her that she has this whole thing that she's already running on her. It seems like it's on her own, but I guess maybe she has help. But she's like running this. I guess it's kind of like a school or like a city or
maybe like an orphanage or something. Yeah. Maybe a mixture. Yeah.
So you see, she represents rebuilding, and she also gave birth to the next king. So it's like rebuilding and rebirth is what she represents.
I like that. What about you, Yams?
I agree with everything you just said, John. And then the who I am inside of me is like, damn, she's got a lot to carry. She's got a lot to because she's got to subscribe to people believing that she was kicked out and that she was so careless that she could not have come to his funeral.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a weight to carry in its own, plus to raise a child in secret, and no child in particular, the damn king. So she's got a lot to juggle, and I just hope she's taking care of herself.
Right. I think she is. I feel like she had to set those boundaries.
Yeah.
But the one thing I don't hear a lot of people mention too is like, somebody was like, why doesn't Shuri know? But I'm like, maybe Nakia was trying to tell her, because in the beginning she was calling Shuri, and Shuri would not take her phone call because she was mad. And so that's also maybe one of the reasons why we didn't find out.
And then if we remember, the queen took Shuri out to the water side before Namor showed up.
Right.
He said, I need to tell you something.
And
then he popped up and ruined the damn spoiler again.
Yeah.
That's true. That's a good point. And I guess that's also means like maybe with her refusing to talk to Nakia, it's also indicative of like how we go through grief. Sometimes it's that denial. She wasn't ready to accept Chadwick's passing either, so she probably wasn't ready to hear anything that Nakia had to say regardless, because she was still processing her own grief. And she was just in her anger. She was like, I'm not gonna talk to that heifer. She didn't show up to my brother's funeral. Like, regardless. But they could have sent her a letter or something, but I would have been mad too.
We ain't writing that down, girl. What you talking about?
Oh yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
White men know we got the next king.
That's true. I forgot about that. But I definitely agree with you, John, just about how it's a rebirth. But it's also, to me, talks about how just the part that I hate about grief, like when I lost my father, it's just that time goes on. Like everything keeps moving on. And I think that's one of the lessons that we hate to learn, that regardless of what we're going through, the world is still moving on, and that out of death there is a life, and we still have T'Challa. And in the future, we're going to, I guess for MCU purposes, they're going to end up recasting him in the future. But right now, we're still going to be in it. We're still going to be processing as we grow older. And we're going to get T'Challa back one day, but not now. So,
whew. I definitely want to see that movie again now.
Yeah, I'm going to go see it. I think I'm going to go see it. The movie theater's right down the street. Oh, there's just one other thing. This is a working theory. And then we're going to get ready to peace out. I wonder, how do we feel about the sirens bringing the colonizers into the water? And knowing that Killmonger said, bury me in the water with my ancestors. Do we see a connection there? I feel like maybe that's like a connection that Ryan Coogler maybe wanted to bring. Like, I don't know. I can't get this theory out my brain. Maybe there was a connection. He's like, well, my people went into the water and so are y'all. I don't know. That's just the food for thought.
Yeah.
I forgot all about the sonic attack until you just mentioned it. It was something they didn't see coming.
Sure did not. Nope.
And it's like, we're this almighty and powerful army and, force. And no, if blue people come out the water with water masks on with sonic noises, you're nothing.
Right. Done.
You're nothing.
You're done, son.
Oh, and you thought you got away on that helicopter?
You thought you ate?
Jokes on you.
Oh my God.
So I did like how we chopped the man back down to size.
Yeah. I'm still mad that we ain't hold him accountable, but I'm hoping next movie. Come on.
Next movie. Ryan Coogler, if you're listening, next movie. Retribution.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Last thing. What are we hoping to see in future Black Panther movies?
Retribution.
Just in general, for like all movies that fall into this kind of category, just continuing with the representation for sure.
Yeah.
It just hits so much to just see all of this representation, especially with um, the Latinx side of things, and I'm just like, what? And I'm just so inspired. I wish I had the resources to just make my character in my head now. Like I have this idea, but like obviously finances and all that stuff, and just time. And
Mhm.
so I'm just like, oh, I just want to make this character now, and I just want someone to just go and make this movie that's related to like the Incan history, and just have like an Incan warrior, like I
Yes.
just have this idea of like with gold, because I think the whole like Incas and the gold and all that stuff. I just want somebody who's just like a big like brown beautiful man covered in like gold and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
I want that too.
I want that too. And John, let me tell you this, because I know I saw on Facebook that you do judo, karate,
Yeah, I
martial
do.
arts.
Yeah, self defense.
Okay, so I had a dream, and I had a dream that you was in the Black Panther movie. I ain't lying.
Oh man, I wish. I wish.
I had a
Come
dream.
on, manifestation.
I ain't lying, literally, because I thought about it. I said, "Oh, I'm about to tell him that," because I saw it when you talked about it. I said, "I had a dream that you got a part in a Black Panther movie." So I'm putting it out there. We're gonna
Listen, John, don't forget about us when you get big. We just want a ticket to the premiere.
Exactly.
That's it. That's it.
Oh my god, did I tell you I'm in the background of a music video?
No.
Yeah, I don't know when it's coming out, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, when you got it out there, let us know so we can share with people.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna definitely share the hell out of it. I'm so thankful for both y'all coming on to talk about Black Panther, and just I'm so excited for everything that y'all got going